Hello, folks. We're recording now. Okay, so thank you for joining for 11 Ways Resellers Lose Sales on Amazon. A few things to point out in the title. We're talking about resellers. So if you are selling on Amazon, you could either be a private seller or you can be a reseller. And today we're talking to three groups, right? People who are purely resellers, people who are hybrid resellers and private sellers, and then there's a group of people that are here in the audience today that have not started to sell on Amazon. They resell through their website and they're vetting this opportunity. So welcome all. What we're going to do is really quickly just introduce exclusive concepts, and then we're going to get into this. So exclusive is all about exponential growth for your online business. The problem that we are solving for is more of how you go up against the Amazons of the world. So when you have multiple vendors, you have a vendor for SEO, for PPC, and for Google Shopping, and for Amazon, and for conversion, you're weak compared to your competitors who can bring all of that together. What happens when you bring things together, when you have your SEO communicating with PPC and conversion, everything, is, for starters, operationally, communication improves. The specialists who know their craft are talking to each other, as opposed to just talking to you and you're trying to translate for each person. So you're managing multiple vendors, but also translating their findings. That holds you back. Then there's research that your SEO team might do, a fantastic keyword research, proprietary keyword research that you want to share with your PPC vendor, but your SEO team can't let you do that because it's proprietary. So all this research that could be circulated across the funnel, it doesn't get circulated. Technologies aren't being used across the funnel. And finally, there's strategy. When you want to do something special, a promotion, a new category, or you're going to change some of your value propositions to become more unique in the marketplace, what you want is everyone from every vertical to coordinate together. How are we going to roll this new strategy out when it comes to PPC? With SEO, conversion, email, social. And because most online retailers have so many vendors, they're unable to achieve that marketing competency across the board. That's the problem we solve for. With Exclusive, we offer holistic solutions for our clients. Every time you work with us on 2 or 3 different verticals, you get a specialist from each of those 2 or 3 verticals. Our people are invested in becoming the best in their specialization. And as a result, you get a bigger team that has deep specialization, even though your agency is a generalist in general. And we have innovative technology. A lot of companies out there like to partner up with us and vice versa to be able to enable some extra strength for our clients. What does it mean to be holistic? Holistic means that you are actually thinking about the impact across the board on your business, or you're thinking about the entire experience from a marketing standpoint. You have to know how to attract visitors to your site, how to convert, and how to retain them in order to grow as healthy as you possibly can. If your retention rate allows you to have a lifetime value 5 times greater than it is right now, your cost per acquisition that is acceptable can actually drop. Or, well, in that case, it would increase. The acceptable CPA would be 5 times greater. If your conversion rate doubles, same type of thing. If your conversion rate is doubling, you can actually accept a higher cost per acquisition, and that affects the type of attract strategies that you have. So down funnel improvements improve your ability to attract more people to your site. So we offer services across the board, and the reason we even break this up into services is so that we can have specialists in each of these areas. But when we come up with a custom roadmap for our clients, different specialists from different areas are pulled together to help our clients with their unique opportunities. We work with organic search, paid search, product ads. On the conversion side, we do consulting. Offers is a technology that we built ourselves, and we do testing. On the retention side, we do email marketing and social media. So that is who we are. When our clients work with us across these different specializations, as I said, a different specialist represents each of the specializations. That way we have a holistic strategy, we're executing in a holistic way, but not a single person on the team is a generalist. Everyone is a specialist in their craft. When you have client calls with us, the entire team shows up, just as if you had a big in-house team. And for the first time, you start to be as competent in marketing as those big players like Amazon. Okay, so that's who we are. Here's some of the technology partners that we partner with, and some of the technology that we've built ourselves, including exclusive offers, formerly known as conversions on demand, our data exchange service, real-time reporting, and our big data marts that we built for our clients to improve their efficiencies and their data connections. CyberWorld is one of our clients that works with us on a holistic level. When CyberWorld came to us, they were plateauing in their results. They had hit $8 million in sales. After working with them for 4 years, taking over everything on the marketing side, to the point where Bob from CyberWorld claims that if you ask him, what is your strategy? How did you grow so well? What's your mobile strategy? His response is always exclusive. That's his single answer. Exclusive is my strategy. We took him from 8 million to 30 million this year. We've had to shut down his accounts twice to help him double his warehouse space once and to add a second warehouse for distribution another time. Continue to grow. Well, last year we were in the 20 millions. This year we're in the 30 millions. Battery Junction, another client that has actually a pretty good in-house team, a wonderful in-house team. We love working with them. The owner of Battery Junction used to always tell me he makes everyone from his team watch all of our webinars. At some point I said, well, why don't you guys just work with us? And we ended up meeting and chatting about how we could take some of the hats off of his employees and put them on us. And in the first year, we increased revenue by 1 million. And PPC was one area where it's easy to quantify, and I want to share some results here. We were able to increase his revenue on the ad side by 77% while spending 14% less. So actually cutting his costs while almost doubling his revenue. Okay, so really quickly, this is what we believe in, right? This is why we do what we do. We're built ourselves up to a 120-person team serving over 200 clients because our clients share the same belief that we have. I just want to ask the people out here, do you also believe that there are benefits to having this one holistic marketing team? So let's launch that as our first poll. See what you guys think. Okay, folks, I'm going to cut this off in 3, 2, 1. It's really interesting here. No matter how many people are voting, it's almost purely staying around the same. So I'm going to close this and share. Okay, so 6% are dissenters. Good. We need to have some contraindicator there. So 6% of you say no. Holistic marketing is not what I believe in. Now, 59% of you say yes, this is something that you see benefits in, and we're glad that you see that, and we'd like to connect with people who are sharing our vision, because it's a lot of work that we put into building this company the way we have and being able to serve our clients the way we have. And 35% of you say, I'd have to think about it, and I hope you do, and if you need any help thinking about it, please contact us at sales@exclusiveconcepts.com. And we'll go ahead and look at that together. So we're going to go back into the presentation now and actually get into the details on the Amazon side. So I'm going to kick this over to Logan. And Logan and Nolan, can you guys do your proper? Really quickly, I'll do my quick introduction. Hi guys, my name is Nick Rajpal. I'm the VP of Marketing Sciences at Exclusive Concepts. And this is Nolan and Logan, if you guys can introduce yourselves as well.
Yep, so this is Logan Durant. I'm the Director of Product Ads and Marketplaces here at Exclusive Concepts. And this is Nolan Antonucci. I'm the Performance Manager of Google Shopping and Amazon Marketplace. All right, so thank you very much, Nick. let's launch right into this. We have today for everyone 11 ways that we believe resellers are losing sales on Amazon. We're going to go through this pretty quickly. It's going to be a lot of information. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the questions box, and we can answer them either throughout the presentation or potentially save them to the end. So let's start with why we created this service and why we specifically tailored an Amazon marketplace service towards resellers. The biggest thing is that we believe that not all buy box wins are created equal. So if you win the buy box for a particular product, that product still might not rank highly organically for the searches that are most important to it. Here we have a screenshot of a lemon juicer search. So if you're winning the buy box for one of these products that's below that dotted blue line, so it's below the fold of what people are seeing on page 1, then you're not maximizing your time in the buy box. So that's the big problem, that even if you win the buy box, you still might have a low organic ranking in Amazon. Therefore, you need an approach that's going to be centered around maximizing your time in the buy box, both the time that you win the buy box and then maximizing your time while you're there. So we've created an approach that has 3 main pillars that's helping resellers maximize their time in the buy box. It's centered around dynamic repricing, so dynamically changing prices of your products to win the buy box more often. It's centered around gaining paid momentum through Amazon sponsored products, and also centered around keyword expansion, so expanding the organic visibility of the product by enhancing the back-end keyword field. And all this together is going to allow you to maximize sales and maximize your time in the buy box. So let's talk about a very common scenario. We're going to talk about how a product with multiple sellers can evolve and how it can become maximized. So as you all know, people who are resellers on Amazon, that you're all selling one product and you have multiple sellers that are on the same ASIN in Amazon. So let's say that you use dynamic repricing for your products and you win the buy box. You have that ability to get the sale when someone presses the add to cart button. So the problem with this, like we said, is that even if you win the buy box, you might be ranking low organically. And hey, if you've just added the product to Amazon, that might not even be on page 1, it might be on page 4. But with the advent of Amazon sponsored products, you still need the ability to boost your product to the first page of the results when you win the buy box. So if you are doing this and your competitors aren't, you have the ability to get so much more visibility and to really maximize the time that you're in the buy box. So if your product is ranking low organically for important searches, but you are using sponsored products when you have the buy box and your competitors aren't, the difference can be night and day, and you'll start to see a huge increase in sales velocity and huge increases in organic ranking as well. And so with that 3-pronged approach, the third prong, we have the keyword field optimization. So you have the ability here to add many keywords to the back end of your listings, which you need to do in a very strategic way. But if you do this and you're building visibility and sales velocity on these keywords using sponsored products and your competitors aren't, that's where you're going to maximize the sales of a product and supercharge the product by maximizing a metric that we call buy box page views, which we'll get into later in the presentation. So using this approach, you're using dynamic repricing, sponsored products, and keyword optimization to increase your buy box win percentage, get higher sales from paid search, and then suddenly you have a lot more visibility for your product when you enhance the keyword field. So that's what happens. That's when a product is really fully maximized, is when you're using this 3-pronged approach as a reseller. And we like to kind of differentiate and tell people what each aspect of the service, what kind of impact they can expect from doing these things. And with sponsored products, it has a high impact. It's something that we recommend for all sellers, regardless of whether you're a private label seller or a reseller or a hybrid. And dynamic repricing, if you're a reseller, also has an extremely high impact. the landed price of the product, which means the cost of the product plus the shipping, is the biggest factor as to whether or not you're going to win the buy box. So dynamic repricing is extremely high impact thing to do, and it's almost a table stake to win in Amazon if you're a reseller. The third part, keyword optimization, can have an impact that could be very high or it could be very low, depending on factors like your buy box win percentage and the potential buy box page views that a product has. So it's very important to prioritize this in a way that makes sense if you're going to do it. So this brings us to our first way. We just talked about the three-pronged approach that we take. So the first way you lose sales on Amazon, this might be obvious, but if you're a reseller, you need to run dynamic repricing. It's a table stake, to get the maximum buy box win percentage and to make sure that you're, getting the visibility that you deserve on the products that are most important to you.
Which leads us to our second poll. So, are you using dynamic repricing? Okay, we're going to give it another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and close. Wow, I am surprised by this. 67% are not using dynamic repricing. 19% are, and 14% are not sure. All right, and if Nolan, Logan, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess I'll weigh in there first. I mean, if you're battling with other sellers and if they're beating you by 2 cents and they also are doing FBA or Prime, so they've actually shipped an order to Amazon. I mean, it's a 2 cent, it's 5 cent. They could beat you by a hair and get the buy box at a much greater rate. I know I have a client where they thought they were the only one selling it, and there was a number of instances where they were being beaten by literally 50 cents and they're a pretty high ticket item, so that was not hard for them to kind of lower their price by a full $1. And I mean, it just was night and day once that change was happened there. So I definitely think it's something they should be looking into. There's a number of solutions for that. I'm going to talk about some of the things you should be considering when determining who to be working with on that part of the offering there. But it's definitely something that should be, if you're a third-party seller, it's got to be part of your plan.
And Lauren has a really insightful question here. It's dynamic repricing. Amazon's function in Seller Central or another vendor? Thoughts?
Yep. So you can use the basic rules within Amazon Seller Central. We partner with a couple of different companies that have a more sophisticated set of rules that will help you, a little bit more, I guess help you kind of be more advanced in the way that you reprice and not just, if A then B kind of things. We can set up kind of like layered rules and different types of parameters.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's always just trying to get you to lower the price, which is probably good for them and their conversion rate, so they can get their referral fees. But there's definitely certain thresholds you want to account for. And we have a few kind of some of the basic sophisticated ways you should be kind of considering it. But yeah.
Awesome. And we are going to get into some details on what you were just talking about as well, Logan, in terms of some advanced functionality.
Yeah, we'll get to that section next and take a little bit deeper dive there about some things that you want to look out for. So the second way, this is kind of obvious, but a lot of merchants still aren't doing sponsored products in Amazon, and this really is going to be the crux of scaling an account or maybe just starting an account on Amazon. This needs to be the center of your strategy. So many merchants are starting to use this and starting to build sales velocity on their products, and for resellers especially, it's all about maximizing that time in the buy box. Again, you want to kind of circumvent Amazon's potentially low organic ranking of your product and maximize that visibility you have when you are in the buy box. So a sponsored products campaign and advanced approach is going to be really crucial for any type of seller on Amazon going forward.
So even if your buy box hasn't stayed on this one product for 10% of the time, it's still that 2.4 hours in the day that you can kind of get those products to be more visible, to kind of appear on page 1 of the SERP page on the kind of on the side rail there, or even on the top, but also appear on competitors' products on the kind of related items there. So your buy box percentage, even if you said it stayed the same, you're going to kind of have more times in the spotlight. I mean, the conversion rates are pretty astounding on Amazon. So if you can kind of be visible, receive clicks, you're going to see more orders. But there's also going to be ways that those sponsored product sales are going to help those products actually climb organically too because of these additional sales.
Yeah, and I would say it's not rare for us to work with an online retailer and start to assess how competitive sponsored ads is in their market and find out that it's virtually zero competition. It's not, I would expect it to be rare, but it's not rare. It's not very common, but it's, I would say it's somewhere between 1 out of every 4 online retailers that I've spoken with and 1 out of 5 has virtually zero competition in sponsored ads, and it's just a perfect window for them to jump in.
Yeah, we just had a call yesterday where their main competitors weren't doing it. Basically, no one in the space was doing it. So kind of some really unrelated products that were appearing in the sponsored products area. So definitely kind of check your niche and kind of see what's going on in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the third way here that we just talked about, if you're not optimizing the back-end field, the back-end keyword field for your product, if you are a reseller, there are ways to do this and ways to do it intelligently. So if you're not doing it, you're disqualifying the product from potentially showing for a lot more keywords, and you're also disqualifying yourself from being able to boost the product with sponsored products for those keywords. So it is important to figure out an approach here.
I mean, Amazon's algorithm really depends on creators of a listing, or even just those that are kind of selling on a listing, to kind of inform it of what the product is about, what it's related to. So if you're not doing it, no one's doing it, it's not, there might be certain words that it would be relevant to and could lead to sales that Amazon has no way to know that it's related to that.
Yeah, and Didi has a really good question here, and this is a common question because it's something that it's kind of implied, but it needs clarification. The question is, when you do sponsored products, are you promoting the product or your listing of the product? I.e., how do you make sure you're not paying to sponsor a product that others are reselling? And the answer is, you may be promoting a product that you are selling alongside other resellers. But just because you're selling alongside other resellers does not mean that you don't have something unique going on when you're actually sponsoring. The unique thing that's happening when you're sponsoring is Amazon is only allowing you to sponsor that product if they have secured you to win the buy box in that click. So even if you only win the buy box 10% of the time against your competing resellers, that 10% of the time you are eligible for sponsored ads. And when someone clicks on that ad that you have paid for, you have won the buy box. It doesn't mean that they can't go look at other sellers and consider other sellers. They may, but a very small percentage of people go to other sellers and buy. Typically, they just use the buy box. Why? Because they don't realize that the buy box is different from buying on Amazon. They think when they buy from the buy box, they're buying on Amazon. And if they go to these other resellers, they think they're going outside of Amazon. So most often, if you won the buy box, which is what would happen when you sponsor, you're going to win that sale if they buy that product. Hopefully that helps clarify that.
Yeah, so those are the first 3 ways, and what we're going to do in this next section here is dive into some more specific areas of each part of this strategy to point out different ways where you might be losing sales and ways to help cure that. So the first section, oh, sorry, Nick. Yeah, so what we have also is you can type in free Amazon analysis into the questions box, and what that'll do is give you the ability to meet one-on-one with Nick to go over your Amazon account, and he has an awesome Amazon audit that you've created that tells you what your opportunity is for your products. And as a reseller, we're looking at the opportunity with sponsored ads and looking really at modeling out what it looks like, what cost per acquisition thresholds we could have, what it looks like to scale the account out profitably. This is a really cool analysis.
Yeah, I just wanted to say there's no technology like this, which is why we had to build it. And basically what we're doing is we'll look at, and if you can visualize this, we'll take all of your ASINs that you're selling, all the data from each ASIN, at the child level, all the data from 1 year, and we're going to see how often you win the buy box. When you do win the buy box, what's your conversion rate? What is the average value when someone actually does buy from you? And all that data is then kind of like reverse math associated against the techniques. So we can find out which products already have the metrics and the performance to be a great fit for sponsored ads. Not just a great fit for sponsored ads, but maybe a great fit for sponsored ads for a really competitive bid. And from this data, we're going to be able to create a tiered bidding structure. These are the products that are good to target your most competitive keywords. These are the products that we want to target very low competition keywords. So we do the same type of analysis for whether or not you're a good fit for product optimization. Those are the keyword fields for writing new product content. So there's a lot of different things that we're checking for, and all we're doing for you is helping validate your investment in Amazon. If we can figure out what techniques fit your product mix, you can then use that to validate your next steps in investing in more marketing for Amazon. So again, all you do is go to this questions box where people have been asking questions and type in free Amazon analysis. We'll reach out and set up a meeting with you.
Excellent. So I definitely encourage everyone to do that. You know, it's an awesome analysis, and I think really eye-opening to see what the possibilities are on Amazon, you know, using a very strategic approach. So let's dive right in here. We're going to take a deeper dive into each part of the framework here, starting with dynamic repricing. And that leads us to way number 4, that you might be losing sales on Amazon, is that you're not setting the most intelligent price thresholds. So it's about more than just, you know, what your rock bottom price is, and you have to take into account various things. So everyone knows, I think the first thing that you take into account is margin, right? You need to understand what your cost of goods are and, you know, what kind of profit margin you want to achieve. And you have to also take into account the fee that you're paying to Amazon. You know, we all know that 15+% fee that you're paying, so that needs to be taken into account as well. But one other thing that I think a lot of people don't know that you can do is that you can start to affect the sales velocity of a product. And let's say that you make a conscious decision to sell your product at a break-even price for, you know, a certain period of time to get sales velocity or to get more of a buy box win percentage. You know, that's something that you can strategically do to kind of get an edge on your competitors and win the buy box more often. And then using that kind of in tandem with sponsored products and keyword optimization can give you a huge boost. But you have to know kind of what that balance is and when you can, you know, lower the price and when you can come back. So, you know, that's something that I don't see a lot of people doing. And, you know, it's a way that, you know, it's a tool that you have in your pocket that you can really increase your buy box win percentage.
So the margins in the Amazon fee section here, they both lead to more profit per sale, and this desired velocity side is directly correlated to how much organic momentum you achieve. Correct?
Yep, you got it.
All right, cool. So we'll do a quick poll again, and we want to get a sense of how people are using repricing. We already got a good sense that most people are not using repricing at all. And now we're talking about taking repricing to a further degree where the repricing is taking into account information and goals. Information like margins and goals like sales velocity. So once again, we're going to ask, are you protecting your margins through your intelligent repricing? And we'll give it a few more seconds here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and share. So 37% of you are saying yes, you're protecting your margins through intelligent repricing. And that's interesting. So we talked about dynamic repricing. Less people were using dynamic repricing, but more people are using some form of repricing. They may not be dynamic, but they're taking into account margins, so that's fantastic. 37% of you, 42% have not been considering this in your repricing strategy, and 21% of you are not sure. So huge gains in profit when you are taking into account your margins. You might be giving away quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing with repricing too is that you can set some more advanced filters, because this is another kind of margin protection thing, is that you need to filter out low quality sellers when you're looking at people to reprice against. And it's very important to do this. So a couple of the ways you can do that are looking at feedback scores. So you can suppress sellers that have maybe a lower feedback score or low feedback count. This is, people who are probably new to the Amazon marketplace who might have very aggressively low prices on their products that you don't want to match. So you have to be sure to filter those people out to protect your margin. And then if they have a different fulfillment method than you, so if you have fulfillment by Amazon and they might still be doing fulfillment by merchant, you don't necessarily have to have the lowest price on Amazon. And we see that price and fulfillment method are the two biggest indicators of your buy box win percentage, but they're not the only ones, and we still consistently see cases where people have won the buy box, but they have fulfillment by Amazon and they have a higher price than the next seller who's doing fulfillment by merchant. So you just want to be careful there that you're not undercutting your price too much when you take into account these different types of sellers and different types of fulfillment methods that they might use.
So if your price is higher, you can still win the buy box if you have higher feedback scores, higher quantity, or doing FBA. Is that correct?
Yep. That's the gist of it. I mean, there are a lot of different buy box factors that aren't listed here that they all kind of play into the equation. So you need to understand where you're strong with different variables in that equation, and then you can have the maximum effect on protecting your margins. So you can understand where you don't have to go below with the repricing.
Awesome.
Cool. So that brings us to the next aspect here. I think this is really probably the most important aspect of any reseller strategy, and it's sponsored products. So we're going to zoom in on a few techniques here and a few ways that we think people are losing sales with specific methodologies on the sponsored product side. And number 6 here we have is not targeting your campaigns using OPA. Now, what is OPA? It is an acronym that we've created to define what our campaign structure is on Amazon. It stands for one product per ad group, which means we have a campaign, and each ad group in that campaign is only targeting one product. So the reason why we do that is because we can get visibility for all the search queries on the ad group level in the campaign. Therefore, if we only have one product per ad group in the campaign, we can see all the search queries that are triggering that product. So what this does is it gives us the maximum amount of control and the maximum amount of visibility and granularity in the account. So what all of that means is that we can really maximize ad spend and be super efficient with what product and what search query we're bidding on at any given time. So what we have here is an example of OPA in action. It's a search query report from Amazon sponsored products, and I'll have Nolan kind of go through this and say why it's important and how we might use a report like this.
Yeah, because I mean, by default, if you're running an automatic campaign and you have all your products in one ad group, you're going to be able to see the search terms. You'll start to see certain terms that probably aren't as effective for you. Kind of see on that third line there, you might see a keyword that's not doing well, but maybe it's not doing well for the right product. So when you put the individual products in their own ad groups, you can actually see here in this ad group name column which product it actually is. So maybe we'd add the negative for just that word and kind of pull that one product out from that search query, but still give it a chance to succeed in other areas, because there's certainly parts of this campaign that are doing really well that are kind of, we see a low advertising cost of sale kind of right below there on the kind of fourth line below, and that ACOS, kind of the most colorful column there, and you can see it's doing really really well there. So there's certain items that you're going to, or certain search queries you're going to see are doing well for certain products, and you're going to want to build those out into kind of manual campaigns. We don't want to get ahead of the other reasons in a bit there, but it just kind of allows you to see certain keywords that aren't working, and whether it's not just the keyword working or it's just not working with that product that it's matching up with.
Yeah, so if we think about what this is a search query report for an automatic campaign, which if you're familiar with search engine marketing and advertising through Google Shopping, you know that a single product could be able to trigger a lot of different keywords. If we just back up to that slide just for a second, Nick, what could go on is that we have a product and a bid on that product, but there could be a lot of different keywords that are eligible to trigger that. So it's our job using a search query report like this, as Nolan said, to pick out the winners and isolate the losers. So when we're picking out the winners, we can start to get more targeted, more aggressive, and picking out losing search terms for products and isolating them or getting rid of them completely. And that's what this kind of gives us visibility into for the first time. So we see here again, this is basically the Amazon interface, which is a lot less evolved than Google Shopping, but this is like another part of our optimization strategy.
Yeah, so this is one, it does sound overwhelming. I probably should have made a slide about this too, about kind of how we do this, and it is through CSV file uploads where we can kind of create this campaign structure based off of this big Excel file that we have that kind of separates them out into their own ad groups. We're not sitting there clicking one product, putting in one ad group, but once you've done this kind of this tedious component of it, you can start to see areas. It allows you to kind of organize by, in this case, we organize it by spend. You can see on this top level here, it was at $126 in spend. You'd only had $124 in sales. So obviously we're upside down there in the advertising cost of sales. So we've significantly decreased the bid in this particular instance. And this is kind of a unique case. This client really wanted to, they had to sell these products off by a certain kind of deadline based off the seasonality of the year. So they really wanted to kind of push hard on this. So, but there's certain other items that are doing really well at a kind of low advertising cost of sale. So if we go to the next slide there, we can also organize it.
This actually no. So yeah, this is the same one here.
Yeah, but if you okay, so it is the same slide. Okay, but you would be able to click on the sales button there and kind of see which ones have seen the greatest number of sales. And there's a whole lot of areas that is kind of these high efficiency points where we've kind of been able to ramp up the bids there. So even if you just look at, I guess even like line 3, we have a 75-cent bid on this particular area. But there are parts in this campaign where we're up over $1 because this one product in that one ad group is doing really great. So we can really be aggressive there. So it really helps us identify pieces that are kind of performing really well and kind of be really aggressive there, but also see areas that aren't and say, okay, there was a 2-week period of time where we wish we could not spend $126 in the next 2 weeks, and we kind of cut there and keep going forward. So there's this constant process we call the flux approach where we're being really aggressive on things that are doing well for us and then backing away on things that we've seen that haven't performed as we'd hoped.
Yeah, and then that's all possible here in Amazon with the one product per ad group kind of approach. That's how we get super granular with matching up products with the the best search queries and then kind of pulling out those ones that are not doing as well.
We got a question here from Ed. Ed is saying, what does spend include? Just the advertising cost or also cost of goods, etc.?
So in here, this is all this is the Amazon spend. So these are how much is being spent on that one product right inside of Amazon. So it's totally spend going towards the promotion of the product.
It's specifically sponsored ads.
Yep,
you got it.
Cool. So clearly there's a lot of benefits to using one product per ad group. I want to see how many of you are actually doing that and able to collect that level of information and then act upon it and achieve more efficiency. Really a cornerstone of an efficient sponsored ad campaign.
And we definitely know more and more people are using sponsored products, but we'll see what the numbers show in terms of kind of separating it out in a way where they kind of have the control.
Yep, I will shut this down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We've got 18% of you are currently using one product per ad group. 71% know that they are not using it. 12% are not sure. So this is not just a snapshot of where you are individually as an audience member, but this is a good way for you to assess the general audience and your peers. They're the type of basics that people should be doing on sponsored ads are not being utilized. It's such a different world from AdWords, for example, where people have really started to understand what they should be doing years ago, and now it's achieving somewhat of a maturation or saturation point. There's such a huge window of opportunity here on the sponsored ad side for Amazon. So it's nice to see that come straight from the audience here.
Yeah, it really is kind of an immature ad platform, both in its functionality and the way people are using it. But if you're able to kind of work around that and find the tricks and the kind of areas where you can start to get the visibility that you need, that's when you start to get the maximum performance. And it starts with those OPA campaigns, with the automatic campaigns, and then that's just the beginning, doing that kind of foundational piece. And what you can do with that, kind of transitions into what we're talking about here is way number 7, that you're not using manual campaigns. So manual campaigns is like the next kind of logical step you would take after you start to measure the performance of an OPA campaign. So what you can do with these manual campaigns is what we talked about. You can find the super valuable intersections where the right keyword matches the right product profitably, and you can start to pluck those different keywords out and target them with these manual campaigns at a much higher bid, knowing that they're going to have a higher rate of efficiency, a higher conversion rate, and a higher return on ad spend. So targeting all of these really high-performing keywords in your manual campaigns is the next step that you have to take after you start to run these automatic campaigns using the OPA campaign structure. So you can take it a step further. After you build these manual campaigns, Amazon has finally introduced the ability to use keyword match types. Taking a page out of Google's book, I think Google has been using keyword match types for almost 10 years now, but we now have the ability to do it within Amazon. So we can get extremely targeted with what we want to target in terms of long tail, short tail keywords, exact match, phrase match. So if you're not using keyword match types in your manual campaigns, then you're missing out on a lot of efficiency that has yet to be created.
Yeah, because even as a third-party reseller, there's going to be certain words that, if clicked on, 10% of the time will convert. So if we can find those right words that when clicked on there, they have that really high conversion rate, there's definitely kind of profitability to be found there to kind of really kind of make the most of that time when you're in the buy box there. So again, when you look at the keyword, backend in terms of that search terms report that we first saw, there's going to be certain words that are clear winners that you want to make sure that you become the most aggressive player and you own those most important, most high-value terms.
Really quick check. Adriana just a few moments ago said she lost sound. Anyone else having any audio issues? Oh, she says it's okay now. Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
So here's kind of a case in point here with match types. This is we always like to show kind of like funny searches that come up on Amazon. This one is actually kind of relevant, but it shows you again the immaturity of the marketplace and the way that people are using sponsored ads is just not nearly as advanced as it could be. So we did search for Larry Bird t-shirt. We have a client that sells some Larry Bird t-shirts, and you see this often. We have the sponsored products ad results in the right-hand column there. We see that 2 out of the 4 results are not even t-shirts. So that, they could easily solve that with a negative exact match, negative phrase match of t-shirt, and have their ads be running much more efficiently, get a much better click-through rate, a much better conversion rate. But we see very consistently that advertisers are not using kind of the simple features that Amazon allows them.
Yeah, there's definitely 2 sides. The cost-cutting side for these 2 guys in the bottom there that are probably wasting quite a bit of money, and there's also kind of a maximizing opportunity for those that, hey, that does match up really well to what I'm searching for.
Yeah, so the third piece here is kind of bringing it all together is that you're not using technology to help your sponsored product approach. So, we've created a very specific technology to help us figure out the best targets for your sponsored product campaigns, understanding what our CPC thresholds need to be, understanding which products fall into which buckets, which ones we can push very aggressively, which ones we might need to be a little more careful with when we test them based on their margin, based on the competitive nature of the niche. This is an analysis that Nick can do for you. And then we can also show you how you can scale out the account and what that will look like once you take into account your cost of goods, once you take into account Amazon's fees. At the end of the day, we're looking to see how much profit we can achieve. And if you're not at least modeling it out and figuring out a way to scale the account, then it's going to be kind of a haphazard approach.
In terms of creating that initial campaign, there's a number of ways you can do it. You can put all the products in one campaign, lots of ad groups, or you can do it in a way where you kind of have either higher margin or higher average order values, so you can kind of know that, hey, this is an area I should probably initially be more aggressive for. Because even going back to that last screenshot that I was kind of explaining there, where you can see the highest spending areas and you're going to make some changes from there. But there can be a lot of, if you can kind of get a head start in that and set bids intelligently out the gate, there can be a huge advantage to be had where you're not kind of slowly discovering, but you're kind of getting a jump start.
Yeah, once again, if anyone wants us to do this analysis, it's a great way for us to kind of lay out a plan for dominating your space in Amazon. And we do this at no cost. We just want to work with you and help you take all your available data and turn it into something meaningful in terms of a plan. All you have to do is go to the questions box and say free Amazon analysis, and we'll reach out to you and set up the time over the course of the next week or so, and we'll do an analysis together. It's all done confidentially, but it could be very helpful for you.
Yep, absolutely. So, okay, we're going to go rapid fire here. We're a little bit behind, so we want to finish up the sponsored products part and get to the final part of the keyword optimization. So we have a lot of great client results that we've been able to achieve over the last year, like lots of awesome case studies to choose from. And one we wanted to highlight here, which was kind of very timely for the seasonality, was a client called Everything Summer Camp. They sell camp-related gear. We started managing their sponsored products account just before their peak season in May of this year. And we utilized that OPA campaign structure that we talked about, doing that automatic targeting and then plucking out those really high-value keywords and placing them in very specific match types into manual campaigns. And what we were able to achieve is pretty amazing. Their sponsored ad revenue increased 60% month over month from May to June. The traffic increased by almost 3,000% year over year. That's incredible. The traffic just overall to the products, almost 3,000% increase just by jump-starting it, with sponsored products. And the revenue increase, this is amazing, by 270% year over year. So, we were able to use sponsored products as a huge catalyst for this account. And while they were going into their busy season, we far surpassed what they achieved both organically and from a sponsored ad perspective in 2016. And we have one more. We know that a lot of you, like Nick said, if you're a reseller, you chances are have a e-commerce website as well. So a lot of people, they might hesitate when deciding whether or not to invest in Amazon sponsored products because of that fee that Amazon takes and because the margins are a little bit lower and a little bit tighter in Amazon. So I'll let Nolan kind of explain, what we're looking at here.
Sure, yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on either, but big takeaways here is that for them in this space, there was a whole lot more ad spend available for them to be kind of doing so and doing so profitably on Amazon compared to Google Shopping. But I definitely have a number of clients where you're kind of trying to get a gauge of that's the big question I usually have is what's my spend probably going to be. Google Shopping can be a barometer, but also there's a lot of factors that can go in there, what it's going to initially be for a rate of spend. But in their case, they will spend twice as much on Amazon there. But they saw revenue kind of far outpace the growth that they saw in spend by $54,000. So you can see almost a 10-to-1 rate of return, or if you look at the advertising cost of sale at the bottom there is 9.5. So Try to do some of these calculations too to try to determine end-of-day profitability with accounting for that 15%. That 15% that Amazon was taking as their referral fee, and there was. I mean, it was literally over twice the profit at the end of day for them. I mean, a big part of it is the conversion rate. I mean, it's a much higher conversion rate that they see on Amazon than they see on Google. So it is, I mean, these clicks, if you're picking the right keywords to be coming to your listings, the conversion rates can be really high. But again, there can be lots of ways you can be getting extraneous terms too. So if you have an approach that kind of picks these words that do make sense, somebody on Amazon that clicks on your thing has a really high likelihood of converting. So I think that's kind of the biggest takeaway in this one is how good the conversion rate is on Amazon.
Yeah, the efficiency there on Amazon can help you overcome the additional fees you have to pay and the lower margins there. That brings us to our final section here, the SEO component, the keyword optimization. So this is, important. It's important to do strategically. Every product in Amazon has, this keyword field on the back end that you can optimize, and this keyword field is purely exists for Amazon's search algorithm. It's literally like telling Amazon what keywords you want the product to show up for organically. So it gives you the ability to kind of try out for or be in the running for somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 1,000 keywords organically. So what this can do is not only give your product the ability to try out for these keywords, but you can start to target these keywords in sponsored products and start to draw that line of relevancy between the keyword and the product. And the other important thing is that when you're sponsoring this huge slew of additional keywords, this is where you maximize your buy box page views, not only for the trophy keywords, the general queries, the high value keywords that are associated with the product, but also for that long tail of keywords that your competitors might not be trying to drive relevancy to. So here is an example of generally what we see with the back-end keyword field on Amazon. It's generally poorly populated. People haven't taken the time to optimize this field, and if they have, they've only done maybe a few words here or there, and a lot of them are actually recycled words from the title or the bullet points, the features, which aren't helping you anyway because the keywords only need to appear once in the listing in order to be eligible to show for a search.
And I think it does almost kind of sound like a too good to be true kind of thing, but what Amazon has in their algorithm is they can determine, well, one, what the click-through rate of it is, what the time on that listing is, as well as kind of did somebody buy or not. So if you now added the color red, even though you have actually a color pink, and it receives no clicks or ends up seeing no orders from it, they're going to say, okay, well, we kind of gave you a shot. You guys could try out for that word, but we started to see poor click-through rates, poor conversion rates, and now we're going to pick something that try another product above you, and you're going to kind of fall. But maybe for some reason that red is close to pink, and now you start to see orders come in from that, and then you can now kind of make that product relevant to something that it wasn't relevant before. And if you start to continue to see sales, you'll see it continue to climb for those words that it might not have originally been ranking for.
Exactly. So that brings us to the next way we believe we know people are losing sales on Amazon, is that you're not prioritizing the optimization of these products based on their potential buy box page views. So what is that? We talked about buy box page views earlier in the presentation. This is a metric that Amazon does not report on. So this is something you need to calculate yourself using the advertising reports, using the business reports. So what it is simply the total sessions that a product gets, and not just sessions that are, sessions when you're winning the buy box, but sessions overall. How many times are people visiting this product, no matter who's winning the buy box? Then you multiply that by the percentage of time that you are winning the buy box to gauge what your buy box page views are. So let's say you have a product that you're winning the buy box only 10% of the time, but that product has 1,000 possible sessions per month. You might want to prioritize that product over a product that you have a greater buy box win percentage for, but a much smaller overall number of sessions. So it's all about kind of looking at what the potential opportunity is when you're getting the eyeballs on your product when you have the buy box. So the higher that buy box page views number is, the more emphasis you want to put on that product and optimizing it. So here, this is an actual excerpt from a client report This is, an example of what we are sending to our clients every month when they engage us for Amazon marketing. We show them, this one metric, buy box page views, and we kind of, cut it up between organic and sponsored traffic. So we see here, again, this is another client whose busy season is in the summertime. But if you look at the difference between the buy box page views in April compared to May for organic, which is the blue here, we see, an increase that we expected based on seasonality. But what even we couldn't even really predict is the wild success of using sponsored products in tandem, with this keyword field optimization. We see that the total number of buy box page views that this merchant got really doubled with using this strategy. And that's kind of what that opportunity is out there. Is when you have the buy box, how are you maximizing it? How are you getting people to look at your product? And by using the keyword field and sponsored products, you can dramatically increase this crucial metric of buy box page views. So once you've prioritized the products that you want to optimize the keyword field for, you then need to populate them in a more systematic way than what we generally see with Amazon accounts. And so we have a methodology where we utilize several different things. If you are a reseller who has a traditional website and have been doing SEM, we can start to use your AdWords search query data. We can put your products into BrightEdge, which is an advanced SEO tool that we have to understand what the keyword universe is surrounding a product. We can use your Google Analytics site search data to start to understand what people are looking for and how they're finding your products. And then, of course, we can use your Amazon sponsored product search query reports to understand specifically the search volume that exists in Amazon for important keywords and start to mine for new keywords using the automatic campaign. And using all of these things, we prioritize the keyword optimization based on search volume, based on the conversion rate, and ultimately the revenue potential. So that's the framework. That's the ways that we believe resellers can maximize their time in the buy box. We talked about dynamic group pricing, using intelligent pricing rules to maximize your buy box win percentage, building momentum through paid search and really maximizing the time that you have the buy box. Not only on the trophy keywords, but using also keyword expansion to significantly increase the number of keywords that a product shows for, giving yourself not only visibility on those big trophy keywords, but visibility all across the long tail of keywords related to that product. So all those things together are going to help you maximize your time in the buy box and maximize sales for each one of your products. So we have a package that we made specifically for our reseller clients. We've had a fair amount of success with it. It hinges directly on those three important parts that we've talked about in depth today. It costs $12.99 per month plus 12% of your sponsored product ad spend. Includes the full sponsored products management, which is the OPA campaigns, the highly targeted manual campaigns, getting super efficiency with your ad spend and maximizing sales velocity. It includes dynamic repricing, helping you win the buy box most often where it makes sense. And it includes the keyword optimization of 15 products per month that we help prioritize based on buy box page views. And then we're populating them in a very intelligent, systematic way in order to maximize the visibility on keywords that have the highest revenue potential and the highest search volume that are related to the product. So that's it. That's our webinar. We have a Q&A session now. I know we're right at time. It's 3:01, but be happy to stay a little over and answer any questions you guys might have, or we're happy to kind of be a sounding board here for any thoughts or questions you have on the webinar today.
Yeah, I'm going to start with this question that just came in from Lauren. He asked any Amazon keyword optimization tools, and we just answered that. So he asked the question right before we got to way number 11, which is these different resources that you would want to use to aggregate your keyword research in order to populate the products. So hopefully that was substantial. And next question here, we have some products selling on Amazon, but not all are eligible for sponsored ads. Why is that? What can we do to make those products eligible so we can run sponsored ads on those products?
Yeah, I know exactly kind of what they're referring to here. Is when even if you created one of these OPA campaigns or did an automatic way, when the product isn't in the buy box, so let's say, using the example again, the 10% buy box win percentage, it's going to be 99% of the time when you check out the, or 90% of the time when you check out the account there, that it'll show that not eligible for sponsored ads. But I definitely have areas where I can see that, okay, that's been the top selling item this past month. We can see sales have happened, and it's currently saying I'm not eligible for sponsored products. In terms of I can click on it and you can see if there might have been some price issue that somebody came in there with really low undercutted price, or what have you at that moment. There isn't. But if you're seeing that alert, you're probably not in the buy box at that point.
Yeah, it's like literally a specific snapshot in time, like that precise moment.
But you still should have those ads ready to go. I mean, these ads should be kind of waiting there for that period of time when you're in the buy box for, so you can really get as much visibility there.
Sounds good. And we're going to take 1 to 2 more questions here. Okay, so what should our strategy be if the product we are selling is also offered by Amazon.com, Prime? Likewise, if product is FBA and we are not FBA, it seems unrealistic to compete with Amazon.com and FBA sellers.
I think it is kind of, some of the reality is there. They kind of lined it out that, I mean, it is really tough. If Amazon's offering the item, if they're already doing an FBA and you're not, you could offer an FBA too, and they'll probably get some percentage of the time in the buy box, but kind of using that initial tool that we talked about, kind of where we'd be scoring items, which would be the best fits for sponsored products. I mean, those would probably be areas that would not score all that well in terms of kind of initial areas to be going after.
Awesome. So I think I've gone through all our questions that have come through, and I think we answered a lot of them, if not all of them, either during or at this point. Folks, if you don't have any other questions, then we're gonna wrap this up. We're just 4 minutes over the hour. Logan, Nolan, thank you so much for helping create the successes behind this content, helping create the content and presenting it. Thank you, folks, for joining, and please reach out to us either through sales@exclusiveconcepts.com or in the last few moments here, if you want to go to the questions box and ask for the free Amazon analysis. We'll be reaching out to everyone who asked for that after this. Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful week, and best of luck with your Amazon challenges.